This is Ron Kelleher with the Inspired Leadership Podcast, episode number 572. Today's episode is entitled Strengths and Weaknesses in Focus, a holistic approach for achieving career excellence.
Hello, and welcome to Inspired Leadership, the podcast for Christian leaders in the marketplace who want to be the best leaders they can be. And now your host, Ron Kelleher.
As Christian business leaders, we must navigate a unique path that intertwines our faith with our professional endeavors. A powerful principle that resonates deeply within both spheres is the understanding and utilization of our strengths and weaknesses. This principle is encapsulated in a profound yet practical saying, "We cannot exploit strengths we have not identified and cannot mitigate weaknesses we have not identified." So let's explore how this concept, rooted in self-awareness and personal development, aligns with biblical teachings, offering a guide for both personal and professional growth. The first thing we need to do is identify personal strengths. Peter, writing to believers in 1 Peter 4:10, said, "Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms." This verse reminds us that we're endowed with unique talents and strengths. Identifying these gifts is the first step in fulfilling our God-given potential. As leaders, recognizing our strengths isn't just about personal gain, but also about serving others more effectively in our businesses and communities. The second thing we need to do is to exploit those strengths. The Bible encourages us to recognize and utilize our strengths. According to Paul, writing to the Philippians in Philippians 4:13, Paul said, "I can do all this through him who gives me strength." This powerful verse suggests that our capabilities can lead to remarkable achievements when harnessed and powered by faith. In a business context, this means leveraging our strongest skills to lead our teams, innovate, and overcome challenges. The third thing we need to do is identify personal weaknesses. Acknowledging our weaknesses is vital. The Apostle Paul, this time reading to the Corinthians in 2 Corinthians 12:9, offers a profound perspective. Paul said, "But he," referring to God, "said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me.'" This verse teaches us that recognizing our limitations is not a sign of failure, but an opportunity for growth and for God's power to manifest in our lives. And the last thing we need to do is figure out how to mitigate our weaknesses. The Bible guides us in addressing our weaknesses. James, the half-brother of Jesus in James 1:5, advises, "If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you." This encourages us to seek divine wisdom and guidance in all areas where we fall short. In the business world, this could mean seeking mentorship, further education, or simply praying for guidance in decision-making. In conclusion, as Christian business leaders, the journey of self-improvement is not just a personal endeavor, but a spiritual one. By identifying and exploiting our strengths, and acknowledging and mitigating our weaknesses, we align ourselves not only with sound business practices, but also with the teachings of the Bible. Put simply, we cannot exploit strengths we have not identified and cannot mitigate weaknesses we've not identified. This approach allows us to lead with integrity, serve with humility, and grow gracefully, both in our personal lives and the marketplace. Well, that's it for this week, and as always, questions and comments are welcome. Do you regularly appraise your strengths and weaknesses in light of God's call on your life? I'd love it if you'd come over to the website at ronkelleher.com/episode 572 and leave me a question or a comment. And as always, before we go, I'd like to ask you to do me a quick favor, and that is to hop on over to whatever podcast service you're listening to this on. Leave a ranking for the show and a comment if you wish. It does help us get the show into the hands of more and more people. So I thank you in advance for that and pray that God would help us all to be the powerful and the inspired leaders He intends us to be. That's it for this episode of Inspired Leadership. You'll find a complete transcript of this episode on my website at www.ronkelleher.com. My prayer now is that you'll go out and be the powerful, inspired leader that God intends us to be.
Thanks for listening to the Inspired Leadership Podcast at www.ronkelleher.com.